Hello. Today we're covering churn analysis, the method that tells you who is leaving your customer base, when they're leaving, and most importantly, why. This one completes a natural trilogy with the cohort analysis and customer lifetime value. CLV told you how much a customer is worth. Cohort analysis showed you where retention was dropping off. Churn analysis explains the drop-off and points to what to fix. By the end, you'll know how to measure churn, how to segment and diagnose it, and how to find the warning signs before a customer actually leaves. Let's start with the problem. Here's what makes churn so dangerous. It's quiet. A dissatisfied customer doesn't usually send a complaint. They just stop. They cancel at the end of a trial, don't renew, or gradually go inactive until one day they are just gone. And if you're not actively measuring and analyzing that loss, you have no idea how many customers you're losing, which ones, or why. You keep acquiring, the numbers look roughly okay, and underneath that, the customer base is leaking in ways that are costing you far more than your acquisition budget can cover. The mindset shift with churn analysis is simple. You can't fix what you haven't measured. Churn feels abstract until you look at it directly. Who left, exactly when, and what was happening in their account before they did. Once you measure it, segment it, and dig into timing and the reasons, it stops being a vague problem and becomes a specific, diagnosable, and often very fixable one. The customers leaving quietly are the ones costing you most. The goal is to stop treating their departure as background noise and start treating it as a signal. Churn analysis is the systematic study of customer loss. It measures how much churn you have, identifies when in the customer life cycle it tends to happen, segments which types of customers churn most, and diagnoses the reasons behind it. Churn, in this context, just means when a customer stops becoming a customer. They cancel their subscription, stop buying, or go completely silent. Done well, churn analysis turns an invisible leak into a specific problem with a specific location and usually a specific fix. Not all churn is the same, and treating it as one thing is a common mistake. Voluntary churn is when a customer actively chooses to leave. They cancel, don't renew, or switch to a competitor. This is the most discussed type, and it's usually driven by dissatisfaction, price sensitivity, or a better offer from someone else. Involuntary churn, sometimes called passive churn, is when a customer leaves without intending to. A credit card expired, a payment failed, a billing error wasn't caught. These customers didn't decide to go, they just disappeared because of a technical hiccup. And the reason this matters is that involuntary churn can account for 20 to 30% of total subscriber loss in a subscription business, and almost all of it is recoverable if you catch it. We already know from cohort analysis that PulseApp month 1 drop-off. Now we want to understand it more deeply. Who specifically is churning in month 1? Is it evenly distributed across all subscribers or concentrated in a specific group? What's causing it? Is it the product, the price, the onboarding, something else? And is there a way to identify at-risk users before they actually cancel so we can intervene early? Those 3 questions are exactly what churn analysis is designed to answer. Let's start with the measurement. The churn rate formula is straightforward. Take the number of customers you lost in a period, divide by the number of customers that you had at the start of that period, and multiply by 100 to get a percentage. For PulseApp, they started a month with 4,000 subscribers, and 280 canceled by the end. So 280 divided by 4,000 times 100 equals a 7% monthly churn rate. That sounds small, but here's the important context. A 7% monthly churn rate means roughly half your subscriber base turns over in a single year. Even modest-looking monthly churn rates compound into a serious business problem over time. The most revealing visualization in churn analysis is the survival curve, a line chart showing what percentage of subscribers are still active at each point in time, starting at 100% on day 1 and declining as customers churn out. For PulseApp, the curve drops steeply in the first 2 months, then flattens as it moves toward month 12. That steep early section is the activation problem we already identified in the cohort data, customers leaving before they found the value. A different shape would tell a different story. A gradual steady slope means slow ongoing erosion across the whole base. A sudden vertical drop at a specific month means something specific is happening at that point. A billing event, a feature change, a competitive trigger. The curve makes the pattern instantly readable. One of the most important distinctions in churn analysis is between early and late churn, because they are caused by completely different things. Early churn, in months 1 through 3, is almost always an onboarding and activation problem. These customers signed up with some interest or intent, but they never reached the moment where the product delivered on its promise. They left because they didn't find the value fast enough. Late churn, month 6 and beyond, is a different story. These are customers who got value from the product at some point, but then stopped. Maybe a competitor made a better offer. Maybe the product didn't evolve with their needs. Maybe the price stopped feeling justified. Same outcome, a canceled subscription, completely different cause. Different team responsible, different fix. Before you can diagnose why customers are leaving, you need to know who is leaving. Not all PulseApp subscribers churn at the same rate, and when you segment by behavior, the pattern becomes clear immediately. Users who completed the initial workout setup in their first week churn at 12% in month 1. Users who never completed the setup churn at 51%. That's a 4-fold difference in churn rate between 2 groups of customers who signed up in the same month, with the same subscription at the same price. The only difference is whether they got through the initial setup. That single finding reframes the whole problem. It's not a broad product issue, it's a specific activation issue, and it has a specific target population. Segmenting who churns tells you where to look. Mapping when it happens tells you what's triggering it. PulseApp's cancellation data shows 2 clear spikes within the first 30 days. The first is on day 3, exactly when the free trial ends and the first charge processes. Some subscribers didn't realize they'd be charged, or decided at the moment of billing that they weren't ready to commit. The second spike is on day 14, when PulseApp sends the second weekly workout plan and some users feel overwhelmed by the volume. 2 specific moments, 2 specific triggers, both completely fixable. One is a billing transparency problem. The other is a content pacing problem. Without the timing map, both would be invisible inside the aggregate 7% monthly churn rate. The most direct and most underused tool in churn analysis is the exit survey. A short 2 or 3 question survey sends immediately when a customer cancels or goes inactive. 2 questions are usually enough. What's the main reason you're leaving, with a multiple choice list plus an open-ended field for their own words, and what would have made you stay. The exit survey is what turns a churn rate, a number, into a specific list of specific nameable causes. Not every churns customer will fill it out, and those who do may not be perfectly representative, but the patterns that emerge from even a partial response rate are almost always actionable, and they give the product and retention teams something concrete to work with. Across most subscription businesses, the same reasons tend to appear at the top of exit surveys. Too expensive. I wasn't using it enough to justify the cost. It was missing a feature I needed. I switched to a competitor. And life changed. My routine, job, or circumstances are different now. For PulseApp specifically, 44% of exit survey respondents said, I wasn't using it enough, and 31% said, it was too expensive for what I got. Both of these are perceived value statements, not product quality complaints. The product isn't broken, the value isn't being communicated and delivered quickly enough for these customers to feel the subscription is worth it. That points directly at onboarding and early habit building, not at building new features. This is where churn analysis becomes truly proactive rather than reactive. A leading indicator is a behavior that product data that predicts churn before the customer actually cancels. A warning signal you can act on. For post apps, users who log 0 workouts in their first 7 days churn at 3 times the rate of users who log at least 1 workout. That's a powerful leading indicator. It means by day 4 or 5, you already know which users are high risk of churning by day 14. Instead of waiting for them to cancel, you can reach out. A push notification, a personal email, a suggested beginner workout, and potentially change the trajectory before it reaches the cancellation screen. A point that gets overlooked in most churn conversations, involuntary churn is real. It's significant, and unlike voluntary churn, it's almost entirely recoverable. When a subscriber's payment fails because a card expired, funds were insufficient, or a billing error occurred, they often churn out of your data as a normal cancellation, when in reality, they didn't decide to go anywhere. The fix is a dunning campaign, a short automated sequence of messages prompting the subscriber to update their payment details. Done well, a dunning campaign can recover a meaningful share of those subscribers. People who, when they get the message, update their card and continue without ever having made a conscious decision to leave. It's one of the highest return interventions in any subscription business, and it costs almost nothing to set up. Let's be balanced. Churn analysis is strengths. It identifies exactly where and why the customer base is leaking, often with enough precision to point at a specific moment, a specific user behavior, or a specific message that needs to change. It's directly actionable for product, onboarding, and retention teams all at once. And leading indicators give you the ability to intervene proactively before the customer has made up their mind to leave. The limitations: exit surveys only capable customers willing to respond, which tends to skew towards the most opinionated, very satisfied customers who have a specific grievance, or very dissatisfied ones. Behavioral data can tell you when someone disengaged, but not always the underlying reason. And some churn is simply natural and unavoidable. Life changes, budget cuts, people who were always going to try and leave. The goal isn't zero churn, it's identifying and fixing the preventable kind. Seven things to take with you. The formula: churn rate equals customers lost divided by customers at the start of the period. Distinguish voluntary from involuntary churn, because they have completely different causes and completely different fixes. Segment who churns before trying to diagnose why. The segmentation usually tells you where to look. Map the timing of churn to find the specific trigger moments, because churn spikes don't happen randomly. Always run an exit survey to turn a number into a list of named fixable causes. Find your leading indicators in the behavioral data and use them to intervene before the cancel happens. And remember, reducing churn is the single highest value lever for growing customer lifetime value. Every month you extend the average customer lifespan, you're directly increasing the return on every acquisition dollar you spend. Thank you for watching.